Now, if you're not training the tuck handstand, you should be. You're missing out on some really good development. If you're not training the seven handstand, you're missing out on some pain and suffering. We're going to do both today. I suggest you jump in and join along. This is a follow along. This is my session. We're going to make quite a transformation in about 10 to 15 minutes. So let's just see what we're dealing with first. So just jump up and do a tuck handstand, whichever variation you have. This can be against the wall, so just put your butt against the wall, go down to your tuck. I've done literally zero warm up, so it'll be good to see your before and after with this session. So that's my cold tuck. You can do it up against the wall if you don't have the freestanding balance. So this is what it looks like if you do it up against the wall. I'm not even going to try the seven yet. Let's warm the tuck up, get that into a good position, and then we'll just progress and see what the seven looks like. So first we just need to open up the thoracic, open up the shoulders and the upper back. I'm going to use a yoga block. You could do exactly the same thing with a foam roller. So we just need to articulate through the spine as much as you can. So I'm just going to place that mid-thoracic. So I'm just going to open and close 10 times. I'm trying to get the movement from where the roller or the yoga block is only. Try not to compensate through the neck. Don't compensate for your low back. Now I'm going to do exactly the same for 5 repetitions, but I'm going to straighten the legs. I'm going to go into a posterior tilt, so that's going to lock in the pelvis. It's going to make me work through that mid-thoracic a little bit more. I'm going to put my hands, biceps by my ears, so straight arms as best I can. Then I'm going to open up and hold this for 15 seconds, pulling down as hard as I can while holding that posterior tilt. Now, if you struggle with that one and can't keep the biceps by your ears, just take the hands a little bit wider. If it dumps into the shoulders too much, so if you feel discomfort or pain in the shoulders, keep the arms bent and keep the hair. It just means that you need to work on that upper back thoracic area a little bit more. Maybe some passive hangs or something like that would be a little bit better to start with. Now I'm going to jump back into the handstand again and just see what improvement that's made. So that definitely felt a little bit better, but the hips now feel tight. So I'm going to go into a pigeon stretch, just doing the twisted one. So I'm just going to take my left leg over my right into that position. I'm going to pull the heel up as close as I can towards the hip crease. So I'm just going to take my left shoulder to my left knee and my right shoulder to my left ankle. And I'm going to pull my chest as close as I can towards my shin. So between 10 and 30 seconds in this position. Okay, I'm going to twist up into this position. So now I've put my hands behind me, taking my chest towards my shin towards my chest. I'm going to flex my left foot. I'm going to grab hold of the arch of the foot with the crease of the elbow. I'm going to release the right leg away, and then I'm just going to push my left knee away from me while I pull in with the foot. So I'm like flossing into the hip. You should feel this in the hip, not in the knee. Okay, same thing on the other side. So now I'm going to take my right foot over my left. And bring the heel up towards the hip crease. I'm going to try and get my right shoulder as close as I can to the right knee, and then my left shoulder as close as I can to the right ankle. Trying to pull my chest down towards the shin. And again, 10 to 30 second holds here at least. My right side is way tighter than my left. So really I should do a little bit more time here, at least one more set. Okay, hands behind me. I'm going to now take my chest towards my shin. Shin towards the chest, heel towards the butt. Okay, I'm going to take the crease of my elbow and grab hold of the arch of my foot. I'm going to push the knee away from me, pull the foot towards me. So again, only feel that in the hip, not in the knee or the ankle. Okay, jump up. It's good to do a resting squat there, just so you can feel the difference, how open your hips are feeling now. Okay, let's retest again, go back into your tuck variation. Again, feel a little bit better, still tight in the hips for me. So I'm just going to sit down into a straddle position, and I'm going to go in between internal and external rotation. So just try and floss the hips a little bit more. Now, if your hips are very open, do a little bit more work on the thoracic. Get in there with that foam roller or yoga block. Okay, I've now got a rail to hold on to. Now, if you're not so flexible for your upper back, shoulder area, you'll need to raise the rail up or have something else to hold on to. It could be a post. The other way to do it is to make the hips higher, so you could put your hips onto a mat or something, or if you've got a yoga block like this, you could turn the yoga block over. So obviously this way is going to be harder, this way is super intense. I'm going to start this way, just see how that feels. See if I can get my arms straight. So the goal with this one is to get into the position, so mid-thoracic again. Hold onto the rail. So you've got to position yourself. It's a little bit easier with a roller to get into the right position, because you can roll up and down. Yoga block, you have to keep positioning it. So we want to be able to hold onto the rail, and you want to be able to go into a posterior tilt and try and open up and put the pressure on where the yoga block or roller is. That's a little bit easy for me, so I'm going to flip the yoga block over. So I've flipped the yoga block over, which is going to make that a little bit more intense. Same thing, so we can grab hold of the bar. So I'm just going to go into a 30-second hold here, but you could wind this up and keep going for like a minute to 2 minutes. So that's it. Okay, that's 30. Let's retest again. Now hopefully that's feeling a little bit better now. If you had more time, you could just continue on with that, do more sets and reps. But I'm going to start to play around with the 7 handstand now. So the easiest way to play around with it to start with is if you already have a tuck, all we're going to do is open the legs out as far as you can. Now because we're increasing the lever arm on one side, the body has to compensate for the legs, now the lower legs sticking out. And ideally this will be done through the hips and the angle of the torso, so it will tilt back a little bit further in the opposite direction without the shoulders closing. In reality, my shoulders are going to close, but I will try and stick the hip back a little bit further if I can. So I'm just going to go into my deepest tuck position, then all I'm going to do is try and straighten the legs as much as I can towards the 7. I'll show you the same thing against the wall as well. And there's quite a bit of guesswork involved on that, because I can't really see what angle my legs are at. It's a bit like a back lever position. You really need to video from the side and watch the video back, because the goal with the 7 is to get your legs parallel with the floor. I'm guessing my legs were a little bit up. Sometimes I pike a little bit too much and go towards like a pike press position, which then closes the shoulders much more than it should be. Now my hamstrings are pretty long. I'd recommend if you don't have longer hamstrings, make sure you really do a good warm up for your hamstrings. I'm just going to do a quick one now, see if that makes a difference, and then I'm going to enter the 7 in a slightly different way. So very simple for the hamstring stretch, so we're just going to a forward fold. So I'm just going to pull the elbows towards the floor. Now if you do have enough flexibility with this one, we could do the wall version. So the wall version, I'm just going to go very close to the wall, and then I'm going to bend the knees, bring the head down towards the floor, and then straighten the legs as much as I can while squashing myself between the wall and my legs. And again, I'll do 30 to 60 seconds and a number of sets if you are tighter in the hamstrings. I have a variation on how to get into the 7 position is I'm just going to go into a straight handstand, and then I'm going to close the hips but keep the legs straight. So very similar to the pike press to handstand. Now you could do exactly the same against the wall, so just as you come down you take your butt to the wall and then try and keep the shoulders on top of the hands as you come down. Or you could turn around and do it the other way, so your chest to wall, slide down, and the legs are going to push your hips away from the wall. I'll show you the back to the wall one now because this post doesn't really work well for the other one. I actually find the wall version a little bit harder than the freestanding version in terms of keeping the shoulders on top of the hands. Okay, so now we've warmed up both our tuck handstand and our 7 handstand. Now we can play around with holding the position for time. So I'd recommend you work up to a 30-second hold in the tuck and around 15 seconds in the 7 handstand. The only reason being is the 7 handstand is way more intense, so I'd decrease the time. If you're a beast and you've got a good flexibility and you can really open up the thoracic, you'll be able to hang in the 7 for longer than that. but just make sure when you do your longer holds that you return back to your straight position and you don't get stuck in that hip. So let's have a go at that now. Let's just see if we can do a 30-second hold in the tuck and a 15-second hold in the 7 and see if we can return back to our straight position. Then rest as much as you need before the 7, because obviously the 7's the nasty one. Now I'm using the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch has got a vibration on it, so it tells me when the time is up. So what I just do is add a few seconds to get into the position. Ooh, that's so hard. Obviously that can be done up against the wall if you need to. Now we're just going to go in and out of the position. Now ideally if you're going in and out of the position, you're going to visit your best possible tuck and your best possible 7. In reality, it probably won't be as good, but one thing I'd really try and aim for is your best possible straight position when you go back each time. So think of your straight as being a real home position. You should always return to your best possible straight position that you can do on that set. So I'm going to aim for 10 tucks and 5 7s. Now 10 of those is tough, especially if you're balancing the freestanding version. So just see how many you can do. It might be 2 repetitions, but every time you train it, see if you can add a repetition. Then once you can easily do 10 or comfortably do 10, just try and then work on the quality of each 10. Now you can obviously choose with the pike one how you enter it. You could go tuck into 7 or you could go straight down from your straight position. Now there are some other box and wall versions of the tuck and the 7 positions. I've got a couple of other videos on them. I'll link them at the end. But we'll finish there for today. Thumbs up and subscribe will be appreciated, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks guys. Let me know if you have any questions, obviously down in the comments.